Hello, hello. Seems like ages since I've done one of these. Like,
when was the last Micro Maniacs?
November. Did one with Steve and Martin. We did the Amiga special.
Oh, yes, I do remember now. Yeah.
Yeah. Admittedly, I kind of like. It's not that I've stopped doing them, but I slowed them down a little bit because the thing is, at one stage when we was doing this, there was a lot of new information and new stuff coming out and loads of homebrew going on, and then all of a sudden it seemed to just stop. So that's why I kind of slowed it down a little bit, because it was like it was starting to get difficult finding new things to talk about.
Yeah.
This is a problem, I suppose, when you're talking about systems that are 40 years old, right? At some point you're going to run out of things to talk about, right? So yeah. Right, okay, let's have a look at the chat. We've got Mr. Alex, U-Star Gamer. How you doing, mate? Pixel Plug, hope you're well. Who's this guy? Look. Oh, I forgot. I've got to put my little banner along the bottom.
I've still got to work out how to sign in on this laptop, so I've got to do my chat on this thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to do chat through my phone. That's what I was looking at. Yeah, I don't do it from the MacBook because it just mess everything up.
Oh, hello. Who else is going? Oh, Chef's in. Yeah, Chef, you got your internet sorted out, or is it still a problem? Obviously, he's had untold issues with that. I still can't believe. Well, I can believe it was BT, but he got cut off in the middle of one of my streams, didn't he? I'm trying to remember now. I think it was one of the no late fees. We was talking about films, and he disappeared like halfway through it. What old being? Right, okay. Let's jump straight in, shall we? What should we talk about first? I'll tell you what. This one's quite current, I think. Let's talk about this one.
No.
Thoughts on the Amiga Maxi? Because I'm trying to remember what date now. They gave a date, didn't they, on when this is coming out? I'll check it actually while we're talking about it.
I didn't know anything about it until you told me, Lee.
Someone asked me actually the other day. They said, "What have they modelled it on?" And it's the 500, isn't it?
Is it definitely the 500?
Well, that's what I'm reading. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that they were going to do it on like a 600 or a 1200.
So all it says here is it's going to be released in the fourth quarter of 2024. So there's no exact date. It just says fourth quarter. So
yeah.
Because I would have thought 600 just for desk space as well. Because 500 is a bit unwieldy, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you think of it like this, right? I suppose the one that people had the most nostalgia for is probably the 500, right?
Yeah,
probably is.
Yeah.
But the other thing is also that don't forget they've already done a mini, which means all they've got to do is basically just make a bigger version, right? So it's quite easy. It's not like you've got to redesign the entire thing.
No.
The funny thing is the guts of it are just going to be the same, aren't they? So you just got a bigger case really, and a keyboard. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Can you plug a keyboard into the 500 mini or not?
Yes, you can.
You can.
And funny enough, actually, we'll get into that a little bit when we get to our next topic. You'll see why when we get to it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can. I've got to be honest. I probably will get one of these. I've got the Amiga Mini, but like you just said, you've got to plug a keyboard in, which is annoying. I would much rather have the Maxi because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a 500 that I got off of Martin, but in terms of, like, say, for example, if you're capturing for a video, something like the Mini or the Maxi is perfect because it's HDMI out, right?
Right.
But again, if you need a keyboard, you've got to plug a keyboard in. And that's where the Maxi would come in handy. You've got a keyboard built into it. Yeah. And also, it helps preserve your older system as well. Which, let's be honest,
my Amiga 1200, the caps are gone.
Yeah.
So I've got to get that sent off and all of that. And it's just a ball ache of getting it done. So I'll probably, I've got an Amiga Mini, but I do prefer the Maxi. I was the same with the Commodore 64. I bought the Commodore 64 Mini. Then as soon as the Maxi come out, I bought that. And then I got rid of the Mini. I'll probably do the same with the Amiga, to be fair.
There'll be loads of those Amiga Minis on the secondary market, won't there, when the Maxi comes out?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, one of the things I've noticed is you're not noticing it at the moment with the Amiga, but I've certainly noticed that the C64 minis and Maxes are going up in price. That's one thing I've noticed.
Oh, really?
Well, I think they've stopped making them.
Oh, right.
So
the Maxis have always commanded quite a high price because they were hard to get hold of in America.
I think they were around 100, I think, when they first come out, weren't they?
Yeah.
But now you're talking 130 and upwards. They have gone up. But the minis...
At one point now, hitting nearly 200 quid.
Yeah. The minis, I think they went down at one stage to about 30 quid, but I've noticed recently they started creeping up again. Yeah, they're creeping up again now. You're looking at about a minimum of 40 quid, and that's on Amazon. And Amazon are normally cheaper than everyone else. So, so they are creeping up. So you'll probably find that at some point the same will happen with the Amiga if it's not already. I mean, I don't know if they stop making them.
What has the Amiga Mini dropped down to, more or less? What's been their lowest price so far?
Well, let's have a look, because I mean, I would have thought in theory they probably would have stopped making the Amiga Minis. If they want people to buy Maxes, it'd be sensible to do that, right?
They did drop the price of it at Christmas. I think that dropped below 70 quid.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, I think I saw them for 70 somewhere.
Oh,
that might be in game, I think, before they went into Sports Direct.
They're really cheap. £81.39 at the moment.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, so they've dropped them. I suppose that's to justify. That's to justify when they bring out the Maxi, I suppose, and charge more money for it, isn't it? So
I don't suppose we know what the price of the Maxi will be yet.
That'll be 100, just over maybe.
Well, the Mini come out at around that price, so I think it'll be more than that.
What was the Mini? Was it 110 or 130 when it came out?
The Amiga Mini was definitely more money than what the Commodore 64 Mini was.
I'm thinking the Amiga Mini was about 120.
That was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's around 120. So it's come down about 40 quid. But like I say, that's probably so when the Maxi comes out, people will buy that, isn't it? So that and the fact that they probably, like I say, there's a possibility they've stopped making them maybe, and they just want to get rid of the last few they've got. I don't know. Oh, apparently chef's in KFC. This makes me laugh, right? He's a chef and he's in Kentucky. I mean, come on. Like, what self-respecting chef is eating KFC? What's going on here?
He's only in there to try and find out about the 7 secret herbs and spices.
I've never known a chef to like so much takeaway and junk food.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's not like
he's going on about iced buns the other day, wasn't he?
He's completely random when it comes to stuff like that, isn't he? I remember whenever someone said, like, when we first got together in a WhatsApp group, I remember whenever someone said, "Oh, I'm having this for dinner tonight," it'd be, "What you need to do is you need to cook it like this and sear it like that and marinate it with this." And he used to get a complete rundown on the best way to cook it.
Yeah,
from a guy who spends most of his time in a takeaway. I've got to stop it, get complex, because I keep winding him up just lately. I don't want him thinking I'm having a pop. See, if he was on here, I'd play this.
Oh,
burger! So he can't defend himself because he's got his fingers too greasy from all them drumsticks.
Yeah, his fingers are slipping off his phone as we speak.
And he's got no internet, so he's probably like limited on how much data he's got. He'll disappear at some point. You watch.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to Amiga Maxi. So, do you think you guys would buy one of these? I know I will.
Yes, definitely. I'll definitely buy one.
I would move on my Mini and get the Maxi for sure. In fact, if you remember when the Amiga Mini come out, I was actually saying I wanted an Amiga Maxi. So,
yeah.
What about you, Tetlee? Would you get one?
I don't think I would, to be honest. Mainly because I've still got my original Amiga A600, so obviously I'm not going to replace that with anything else. And also, if it's a 500 form factor, that makes it even less likely. Because if it had been a 600 form factor, I might have been a bit more tempted. Because for me personally, obviously that's more of a nostalgic system because that's the one I had. So yeah, I don't think there's much point really for me. I'm probably more likely to mod mine at some point with some kind of SD solution where I can because obviously I haven't got that many games discs, and I don't want to buy more because of the unreliability of those 3.5-inch discs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd rather just get some sort of SD card that slots in and load the games that way.
I think a lot of collectors with the Amiga have come to terms with the fact that they're collecting the boxes and the artwork and the manuals and like to have the discs, but they have other means of playing it because they're so unreliable now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that is one thing with the Amiga Mini, Maxi, or even the C64. They have made it incredibly easy to put games on.
Yeah.
You literally just put it on a little tiny USB and plug it in the back, and you're away. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you add your games. It's that easy. So,
if I had more space, I possibly would. But I think I've said to you already, I've used up pretty much all the space I've got here, and obviously for an A500 form factor, that's going to use a bit of space. That.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice for me. It would have been nice if they did a 1200 because I had both the 500 and the 1200. Would have been nice if they had done the 1200 because even that's smaller, So.
Oh yeah, what is 500? Same sort of width but deeper, is it?
The 500 front to back is enormous. Like the 1200 is not that far back. If I remember right, the 600 you didn't have the number like the keypad, did you? That was gone.
No.
1200 you had one, if I remember right. So
you did. It was a lot longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So it came out further than the 600, but I don't think it went back further than the 600. If that
the
makes
600 is very small compared to an Amiga 500. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the 1200, it basically just made it wider side to side than the 600. I think that's basically it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit wider because it had the number pad. I mean,
I did like to look at that one. The guy was selling on Facebook earlier.
That picture.
That was nice.
Yeah. Do you know what? I do like them clear cases, but my only issue with them clear cases is they get brittle after a while and they start cracking and falling apart.
Yeah, and maybe going a bit yellowy.
That was a Kickstarter. That he backed that many years ago.
Oh, really?
That's a really desirable keyboard. That is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because they were selling something like that at Crash, I think. They had quite a few sort of clear cases in different colours on display. Somebody did. So I imagine. I think they were selling them there.
What's his name? Retro Recipes. He's got one, and he's got a nice it's a see-through case, and then he's got like red keys, like red. I think it's red and smoky black keys on it, and they're micro switched as well. They don't all sound nice when he's like clicking away on it. Yeah, that would be nice. Like a nice micro switched keyboard on a 1200. Yeah. I mean, like I was saying, with the clear cases, I mean, like with the N64s, you remember they did all the clear, funny coloured ones that come out. They're going that way now. They're getting brittle and starting to crack and fall apart. Yeah.
Back in the day, I modded my PlayStation 2 Slim to a clear case, and I did the same with my GameCube as well. Because I went out and bought the Xbox Crystal when that came out, and then I wanted all my consoles to match, so I modded both the PlayStation and the GameCube. I thought it looked pretty cool at the time, all three of them.
Yeah, trouble is then you realise you've lost variety, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
The same, Yeah.
Even inside.
Oh, yeah, size here, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right, okay, shall we move into our next topic? Right, I'll tell you what, since we just done the Amiga Maxi, we might as well go into this one. So, yes, this is what I was on about earlier when I said we'll talk about it in a bit, Tetlee, is that I got this for Christmas.
Oh, nice. Oh, the Maxi.
Yeah. So it's awkward to do this without smashing the mic, but yeah, a bit of a story to it, but I got that one for Christmas. It has got a slight mark on it. And there was another one that didn't, but the other one didn't work. So I've got the one that does work, which is nice. But the reason why I was saying earlier when we was talking about it was we'll discuss it on the next topic, is because what you said about the Mini and the Maxi, right? So I've got the C64 Mini, which, by the way, Scott, will probably end up in the realm at some point. So just to warn you.
Okay.
And it's fully boxed as well. So yeah, I had that, but I always wanted the Maxi, but the price was just going through the roof. And obviously this one turned up in a charity shop and I got it for Christmas. But my point of it was that the Mini, yes, it's perfect. If you live in a flat like me, you want to save room, right? but you don't save room because when you want a keyboard, you then got to plug this in, and now you're taking up the same amount of room as you would do with a Maxi anyway. So you're not really saving any room. You create yourself a massive inconvenience, really, because you've now got to plug a keyboard in. Do you see what I mean? So
I suppose it depends if you need the keyboard. What's that more for text adventures and stuff? Do you mean, or?
Well, actually, you'd be surprised because a lot of C64 ROMs where they've been cracked, a lot of them you've got to hit like spacebar or you'll have like unlimited life hack and all that, and you've got a yes or no. So you need a keyboard.
Okay, yeah. Are there any keys at all that work on those things, or is it just literally the whole thing is just fake?
You've got a
Mini, it's fake. Yeah, you got a virtual keyboard.
I use that.
Yeah, but I found with a virtual keyboard, number one, it don't always do what you want it to do on the screen when you hit it, and also sometimes you can't find some of the keys you're looking for. Because some of the combinations, I'm sure, are missing on the virtual keyboard.
I don't know. I can't remember.
So I always just found it a pain in the ass, and then I just put the keyboard in, and at that point it was in like,
if you could use something like the. Do you remember those Xbox controllers where you had the little chat pad you could plug in? Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember
that. Would
them.
be quite good if you could use something like that, wouldn't it?
I've got a little. I don't know what I've got. I've got like a little mini keyboard. It's only about that big. I use it for a lot of arcade stuff.
Yeah, so, they're good. They are the little tiny ones. Yeah, I know what you mean. The thing is, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, I do like this. There is one little gripe I have got about it, though, right? Is that the keyboard feels a bit cheap. But then I suppose, at the end of the day, you're not buying an original Commodore 64. It's going to be cheap.
Yeah.
So,
I suppose, really, if I think about it, I wouldn't expect it to be a decent keyboard in any of those Maxis, really. Because it's just a membrane, I suppose.
Yeah, it feels spongy when you're touching it. I would say it's membrane, yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, put it this way, it doesn't feel like a good quality keyboard. It certainly doesn't feel anything like the original. So
was the keyboard on the N64 good? I've never actually used an N64, to be perfectly honest.
On the Commodore, yeah, the keyboard.
Oh, sorry, not N64. Sorry, the C64. I meant, yeah.
I think the keyboard was better on the C64C, if I'm honest. But then that was a later model, so it would be, I'll still say the best keyboard, in my opinion, on any of the micros.
ZX Spectrum.
No. Best keyboard's the Acorn Electron, I'm telling you.
No. BBC Micro.
I was going to say probably the BBC Micro.
No. Is it though? Because I think the Electron's got a great keyboard on it. Because that is
I'm not sure if I've ever used an Electron. I'm just going by what I've read, that the Electron keyboard wasn't as good as the Micro, but I don't think I've ever used an Electron, to be honest.
It's hard for me to say because I've not really had any experience of the micros, of the BBC Micros, but at least I don't think I have. I don't remember having any go on them. But
I can't believe you didn't have one of them at school. That's crazy.
No, me neither.
Well,
I was surprised when you said that.
The school I went to, I mean, it was a Catholic school. I mean, I weren't Catholic, but it was a Catholic school. So I don't know whether they maybe spent it on wine for communion or something. I don't know, but we certainly didn't get computers.
Computers was Satan's work or something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's the devil. I mean, technically, they're probably not wrong when the internet come around, but
yeah.
But I mean, the first computers I saw at school was like year 7 in secondary school, when they were the old RM Nimbus computers.
Yeah. I remember them.
Maybe they saw the witch in Granny's garden and thought that was a bad thing.
Well, who knows? They're an odd type. I mean, most of the teachers were nuns, so I mean that tells you a lot. What's this size saying? Not a fan of clear things. Yep. And he's still at work. Okay. I'm guessing that he's listening while he's working, or
he's on his long shift, isn't he, on a Thursday?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. How many hours he do on a long shift? Is it 12 or 13?
I don't know. It's 12 something, I think. Yeah.
12. Same as what I do. Yeah. Yeah. So
I got C64 Maxi you got then, Lee. You said you got it from a charity shop. Did you get both of them from charity shop or just that one?
So originally I got this one, and then the missus brought the other one back, but I tested the other one because the other one was spotless. So I tested the other one didn't work. So that went back. However, what I did say was, although that doesn't work, I'm interested in the joystick. So I've now got a spare joystick for it. And that cost me £3.
Oh, nice.
So at least they got some money out of that one, you know, for the joystick. It weren't a complete loss. You know, if Dad had just chucked it, it would have been nothing at all. So So £3.
Good buy.
Have you got an Amiga Mini, Lee?
Yeah. In fact, I got it right.
You can use the pad of the Amiga Mini on your Maxi, can't you?
Yeah, you can, but there's certain games that you just can't play with a pad.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Like, for example, I mean, even on the Amiga Mini, right? I don't like playing Chaos Engine on the pad because you can't get the diagonals you want on it properly.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, like that's a joystick game. Like, you know, so I like to play that on my proper Amiga because then I can use a joystick. I mean, because that's the thing. I don't know. I wonder if this would work on the Amiga Mini because if it would, that would be perfect. Because this one isn't as bad as the Mini. This one's micro switched.
Yeah,
is that one of those things that comes with the games in the joystick?
No, the games aren't in it. No.
Oh, right. So that's just a joystick.
This is the joystick that comes with the C64 Max.
Ah, right. I thought that was one of those TV game things.
With the original joystick, it was terrible. The one that came with the Mini was horrible. It wasn't micro switched, and the joystick it didn't really pick anything up you was doing properly. Whereas this one, as you can hear there, that's micro switched, and then obviously you got your function buttons. The only thing is the buttons are still. They're not micro switched, so they skimped a bit on that. And what I noticed with the joystick,
you get a nice joystick, and then the buttons are crap.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed with the joystick that's in the box of this one, the left button started to stick after a while. I noticed. That's the only thing. Like, so yeah, they have scrimped on the buttons a bit.
They're not great joysticks. I weren't impressed with them, to be fair.
But they're not too bad. Like, I mean,
I suppose you could upgrade the buttons, couldn't you?
Possibly. I mean, this is a thing. Although this is micro switch, I kind of see what Scott's saying because you don't get as much range of movement as, say, my Arcade R joystick. You know, it's not like a Competition Pro. It's very subtle little movement clicks. You can't.
And it's a very deep joystick at the base, isn't it? So it's a fucking mission to hold it, I think.
Yeah, it's not like like when you get an arcade joystick and you've got a bit of movement on it. You know, you don't have that so much of this. It is very. I don't know if you can see. Look, watch when I push it. It's hardly moving.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah,
that's the full range of motion to the right hand side. Look, see, so it's not the best joystick, but it's better than the one with the Mini. The Mini was atrocious, which I imagine someone's bound to have said in the chat here, I would have thought. Has anybody here had them? No, maybe not. Somebody did have a Mini and they were moaning about it. Might have been Paul. Or Martin. Might have been.
One of his live streams, he was talking about the original joypad, and then the sort of one that came with it, with the Mini.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I did start using the controller from the Amiga Mini on the C64 Mini, but like I said, there are certain games that you can't use a controller on. I don't know, they just don't work.
That controller though, that wasn't originally an Amiga controller, was it? The one they used.
It was.
OSG reckons I should have a white pussy to stroke right now.
Yeah, like a Bond villain. You need to do the spin around, Scott.
I can't. If I do that, I'll knock something over.
Even better.
They always had, when Bonds used to walk in, it was always the back of the chair, and then he spins, Mr. Bond, like that, Yeah. What was he saying? Sorry. The pad. Yes, the pad was based on the CD32, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, the CD32.
Yeah,
was based on, Rock and Roller. How you doing, mate? Oh, Trev. Car Strength Gamer. What's this? Can't stop long. I'm on a break. Oh, okay, mate. Oh, yeah, of course, he's working. Yeah. So I remember when I said to him at some point about coming on no late fees, he said, "Oh, I work a lot in the evenings." Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was a nice surprise for Christmas. Just trying to think actually, because this is a funny thing. Like I've always been into gaming, but it's not many times I've actually got gaming stuff for Christmas. You'd think it would be a lot, but obviously when I was younger, gaming was expensive. So I never got anything for Christmas off of my mum or anything. And I think I've only had a couple of things maybe off of Cara. Most of the time it's been other stuff. So yeah.
I just drop big hints for that sort of time of year so they know what they're getting.
Well, the thing is,
they get me something for a system I haven't got probably.
If I'm honest, I mean, I don't have to drop hints. Cara always just says to me, "What do you want?" Because she never knows what to get me. So I always end up telling her what it is. Yeah. But on that occasion, she knew because for ages I was saying I wanted one, but I just couldn't get hold of one. They were going up in price, and she tricked me and made out that the one that I'd seen had gone. Oh. She made out it had been sold, so I didn't know I was getting it. But then one of her mates let the cat out of the bag, left a message on her phone, and when she played it back, it gave it away. This was like a week before Christmas. And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting a console, am I?" And then it turned out I had to test it out because at that point I obviously knew, and yeah, it was that. So there was me. She actually got me with that. Normally I wouldn't fall for stuff like that, but she tricked me with that. I actually did think it had sold because I was really gutted. I was like, "Oh man, I really wanted one of them." Like, yeah. So
OSG, his comment there about the Amiga Mini. And that, I think he hits the nail on the head in the market that these are made for. Yeah. And they're made for people that buy them for Christmas presents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For family members and that. Because that's often the debate, isn't it? Who are these minis for? And, unless you're nuts like me and I just have to buy them.
Yeah.
Because it's the collector side of me, I suppose. I don't really know what it is that draws me to them. But saying that, though, my favourite, and it's not a micro, is being the Atari 2600 Plus. It's really ignited me back into the Atari scene.
I'll be honest, I never got it because I've not really got a lot of nostalgia for the 2600 or any of them Ataris, really. But the other thing for me was like when you were saying about a lot of the incompatibility on it, I thought that was a bit naughty because obviously they lied to people telling them, "Oh yeah, that'll work, this will work," and then you found out yourself it didn't you, Scott?
Oh yeah. There is an update though. There is an update. It's in beta stage at the moment.
Right.
I know Tutti UK's done a video on it, right, and a couple of other tubers. But there is a beta sort of update which gets rid of a lot of the issues.
Okay.
Still not 100% compatible though, but there's more games that play. I think there's more homebrew games, not all of them, but some of them are now working. Right. And they've mapped the Atari 7800 joystick or joypad to work properly. So they've good on them. I know it's a bit naughty that it weren't working at launch, but at least they've done something about it and things are moving on it.
You see, I resisted that 2600 Plus. But I still keep getting tempted by it because it's dropped quite a lot in price already. I mean, I think even at the moment it's hovering around 75 quid on Amazon.
That's an absolute bargain. That is well worth.
You know what's the trouble though? I had some nice opportunities of game bundles before it came out, and now I keep thinking if I get one now, I'd have to pay a lot more for those games that I would have liked.
Yeah,
not necessarily. There's still good bargains out there on the Atari.
Yeah. I still might be won over by it. I mean, that's a nice system. I like the fact you can play the original carts and that on it. That's a big advantage over the sort of typical minis. And
it is good.
Just imagine if you could hook up a tape deck to one of these C64 minis or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it'd be completely different, wouldn't it? That'd be
awesome. So the thing is, what they've done there with the Atari is very similar to my Retro Trio Plus, because that's HDMI out, and obviously I can play Mega Drive, SNES and NES on that, and you can also play all regions as well.
Yeah,
and I mean the reason I bought that was because obviously it was easier to capture or do live streams or whatever with it because it's an HDMI out, and also if I'm honest, so I don't have to rely on the original hardware quite as much. So I don't burn it all out, you know. But really, what Atari's done, I think, is very similar to that, isn't it? They've made something that you basically can still put the original software into.
Yeah.
But it's an HDMI out. It's exactly the same, really.
It's very clever, the fact they've done it where they can release their own games. So they, you know, unlike with the, let's say, for instance, the C64 Mini and Maxi, they can still, once they've sold the units, they can still be putting out some new games and making extra money from it. So it's not just a sort of one and done profit, is it?
Yeah.
Because how many the trouble is I think we've only had 3 new releases over here, haven't we? Whereas I think in America they've had about 6 or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot more games released in America. I'm hoping they come out over here.
Because we've only had those initial 3, haven't we, so far?
As we're talking about Amiga, we might as well move into the next topic, Atari, because we might as well move into the next topic, I think, because that is Atari based, since that we are talking about it. So this is a question, I suppose, for both of you, because you in fact, Tetlee, you've got is it a 400 or an 800 you've got?
I had a 400. I upgraded it to an 800.
Right. Okay.
That was only over the course of a few months, actually.
So would you buy one of these?
No. And, you know, my initial reaction when I first saw it is, hell yeah, I'm going to get one. Because the thing with the Atari, it's not easy to get the to come by the cartridges for them. And they're pretty expensive, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that would be a good way to get hold of the tougher to get games. So I was quite keen on the idea, because the trouble is, because I've got an 800, there's not really any great solutions for downloading the games and playing on it, unlike the 800 XL, where you can just put a cart in the top, because you've got the flap on the 800. You can't fit one of those flash drive things with a memory card, because you know you've got to press the button to reset, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you can't do that because of the flap. That would be the same with the 400 as well. So yeah, I was sold on it, but then the more I thought about it, I just didn't really like the looks of it. And I know I said about this in the group, the fact they've got that massive 400. Once I noticed that, I couldn't stand it.
Really, well, the thing is, I mean, they did the same with the C64, wasn't it? It's the C64.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll load up the joystick because it'll save me picking the keyboard up. But if you look at the logo at the top there, it says the C64.
But at least it blends in on that. If you notice on the 400 micro,
it does notice
the word "the" stands out like a sore thumb. I'd rather they made that word like a light grey and put the 400 as dark, just to use a bit of artistic license on it.
Yeah,
it still could change though. I think
it could.
The look of it might still change.
Yeah.
So are you going to get one, Scott?
Well, I say no to these things, but I've bought every single mini that's come out.
Yeah.
So I'm saying no, but I bet I do. And you know, I've got the 65XE, haven't I? That one I done the stream on. It's a beautiful computer. But like what Tetlee said, trying to track down the carts, one, is hard. And two, if they do turn up, they go for quite expensive prices. Plus, I've got the tape deck and everything. And it's a bitch to load games from tape on the Atari.
Yes. Yeah, I remember you saying.
Out of all of the micros, that's the worst.
Is that just because they're slow or just they're unreliable?
I don't really know what it is. I can't quite. I've had all the tape deck cleaned. I don't know if it's the tapes. I don't know what it is, but they're very hit and miss. Sometimes they'll load, sometimes they won't. And they're a long load. I thought the Commodore 64 took a long time to load a game. Wow, that's nothing compared to an Atari.
Yeah. So hang on. So what Atari is it you got, Scott?
I've got the. Hold on, I'll grab it.
I always forget what number it is. It's quite a nice looking system, though.
Because the one I got is just basically the bigger version of the 400.
No, Martin, there hasn't been any Commodore 64 bashing. In fact, there's been appreciation because I've been showing the C64 Maxi. So
yeah, that's my one.
Yeah, see, that's a nice looking system.
Is that the XL, is it? Or a different one again?
Yeah, no, that's the X. This is the XE.
Oh,
65 XE, isn't it?
Style.
basically that's an 800 XL, but to fit in line with sort of like the Atari ST and all that.
Right.
So my question is then, well, if you had ROMs to that system, would they run on the 400 mini? That's my question.
Yes.
That's a big reason for you to get one then, I suppose.
Yeah, the 400 mini, as far as I know, will play all of the Atari stuff.
So does that
all the micros?
Just the micros, or would we be talking 2600 and all that as well?
I did hear somewhere that it was going to be able to play the 2600 and the 5200 as well. But
that would be impressive if you could, because that is quite a catalog there of different systems.
Can't it play this like 7800 or something?
Yeah, I think it's going to be able to play all of the sort of like.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if that plays 7800, I might end up having to buy one of them, because there's some good 7800 games, I've got to admit. What's that one that's like Operation Wolf? The Alien one. You got
Alien Brigade.
Brigade. That's a really good game, that. Like, and I mean, I think it was underrated, the 7800. Like, the games look good on that. Some of them I think look better than the NES.
They were.
Yeah.
The thing is with the 7800, if Atari released it when they planned to,
it
would have been out before the NES.
Yeah, it came out too late.
Just think how different the market would have been, but they shelved it. I don't think they released it until 86, 87. So by that time, it was just old.
Yeah, it was late. Yeah.
If they would have released in 83, 84 when they wanted to release it, it would have been a very different machine, I think.
We used to always try and play Dukes of Hazzard on my mate's 400. It was very hit and miss. You see, yeah, he's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Any of these minis, if it was hacked, could play any. Yeah, that's true, because they are basically they're basically a Raspberry Pi, aren't they? So So in essence, you are paying.
I've heard of people hacking the SNES minis and playing other systems and that on them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody proved it, because what was it they did? They took out the inside of a mini, I think it was, and stuck it in a 500 case. Or like an Amiga, stuck it in a full size Amiga case, and then just attached the keyboard to it. They modified it, so basically you just had a 500 Maxi before it was even out. So I think that was retro recipes as well.
I'll tell you one other thing, Lee, which put me off a little bit, which I thought about afterwards, after my initial excitement, was I quite like on the Atari to play paddle games, for instance.
Yeah,
and also I like to use my own joysticks on them, whereas obviously that one's going to be the USB connection, so it's not like I could use my existing controllers. I know you can plug,
it depends on how twitchy it is.
Something, I suppose.
You can get adapters, but it's whether the system would accept it, because I know that the 64s can be a bit twitchy when you're trying to put certain. Because I mean, obviously, most pads and controllers now are USB.
Yeah,
but a lot of these minis won't take any controller. They're a bit twitchy on what they'll accept.
Again, that's what's great about the Atari 2600 Plus, is it's got the original 9-pin port, so you can use all your old joysticks, paddles.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking if the 400, if it is USB, but if it is like acceptance of all USB, then you could just get one of them adapters from the 9-pin to USB and use your original joystick still.
And you know what's the other thing? I kind of feel like there'll be a Maxi later on in the year of the Atari.
Well, they've done it with all of the others, haven't they? So they're bound to do it.
So
well, you think the same people who buy the minis buy the Maxis? They know what they're doing. They're not stupid, are they? So, let's whet their appetite with this, and then like year 2 down the line, right now let's bring this out, and they'll buy it again. You know,
what's the gap usually between a mini and a Maxi?
Couple of years.
Couple of years.
Oh, so it won't be later in the year then.
Well, Amiga Mini come out not last year, year before, wasn't it? Was it year before? I don't know now.
Yeah, it must be a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it will work out. I think 2 years by the time this new one comes out. Let me double check. Hang on, because it should have a release date.
Makes sense, because they'll obviously want to milk it a bit before they bring the Maxi out, wouldn't they?
Let's have a look. Amazon normally has like the release date written at the bottom.
When the sales dry.
Right, so it come out 8th of April 22.
Right.
So actually it'd be over 2 years by the time the Maxi comes out. So yeah, they're not stupid. They know what they're doing.
Business, boys, business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they know full well the same people are going to buy them that bought the Mini, and when they do buy the Maxi, then they'll sell on the Mini to somebody else, and then that's potentially another customer, isn't it? Because they get the Mini and go, "Oh, I like this. I want the bigger version," and it just goes on like that, doesn't it, down the line? So it's quite clever when you think about it.
When you think about value for money, that the Atari 2600 Plus being able to play the original carts and everything for 75 quid. Compared to the Atari 400 Mini, which is going to be 100 quid, and it's just basically a molded plastic where you can't plug any carts or anything in. It does make the 2600 Plus look like amazing value for money, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. Are we convincing you yet, Tetlee?
You are convincing me. I think if it drops to 70 again, which it did the other day, I think I might.
One of the things I liked about it was when Scott did his video, he showed the old paddles, and they did, looking at them, they looked. Like
I've got those.
They actually looked better, if I'm honest.
Do you know what? I picked up those paddles to use on my Atari 800. They work perfect.
Yeah. A lot of people have said they're actually better quality than the originals, and they look it as well. So,
have you actually got the originals to compare it with, Scott?
What's that? Sorry.
Have you got both the new and the old paddles for the 2600 to know how they compare with each other?
No, they're very close. I haven't got any original paddles here, but I was messing about with them in the shop, and they're very close. Yeah, there's not a lot of difference in them.
Yeah.
The new ones, like you're saying, a lot of people have said that they actually feel better than the originals, and they look it. I mean, yeah,
the joystick is definitely better because the joystick on the original Atari was really unforgiving, so stiff and
I never liked that joystick.
It used to hurt your hands.
But the newer one is a lot more softer. It's not as. Got to be careful what you say when you talk about joysticks, ain't you?
Well, yeah.
I wonder if
it's a bit off.
It's not the same company making the Mini as the 2600 Plus, though, is it? Or is it? Do you think the joysticks would be the same?
On what? Sorry.
On the 400 Mini?
The 2600 Plus is pretty good, didn't you?
Yeah, the 2600 Plus is done by a completely different company.
That's what I was asking, if it's the same company, so it's not then.
No, it's totally different to who's doing the same people that done the Commodore stuff is doing the Atari.
What are they called? Hang on, it's on the box here. Retro Games, is it? Retro Games Limited. That's who's did the C64, so that's who's doing the 400 Mini. Retro Games Limited, because they did the Amiga Mini as well.
No, I don't like those joysticks, those Atari joysticks. I think they're almost as bad as the TI-99 sticks. The original sticks of pain.
Well, so what's Paul said here? I used to pull the rubber off on them old Atari sticks. They were much better without them.
Oh, use them naked.
What? So you used to unsheath the stick? There you go, Chef. That one's for you for swap.
So his joystick got a circumcision then, did it? if we was monetized, we wouldn't be now. Right. Okay. Shall we have a look at moving into another topic? Oh, what should we go with next? Oh, here's one then. Right. This. Actually, no. We'll do that one in a minute. I think this one we should go to now because obviously this has happened recently. Spectrum Next issue 2. So, from what I understand, most people should have got their issue 2s by now. Did you say something the other day, Scott, about were they being released with a couple of games as well? I think you were saying
due to the tier system on Kickstarter, the more money it raised, then you could reach certain tiers. And I do know that I think most of the tiers were achieved because it always does really well whenever they put anything Spectrum on Kickstarter. And there's. I think one of the games isn't finished yet, so they haven't released one of the games, which is the remake.
Toby or whatever it's called.
No, it's Head Over Heels.
Oh yes, I forgot about that
remake. That one hasn't come out, but one of them was dropped, and Way of the Exploding Fist is gone.
Oh, you've got that, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I haven't made it yet.
Oh, it's good. He did a video on it. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I remember looking at it and thinking like I mean, it's something that's very common with the Spectrum Next. Every time I see a game, it's like that looks like Amiga, like and it does. It does look very Amiga looking.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a good video that was. Yeah. So my question is, because obviously I've not got a Spectrum Next, but I mean this one's obviously meant to be better than the first issue, right? What is it? Is it an accelerator or something? There's something in it that makes this one better, isn't there?
It's any slight upgrades.
Right.
See, with the original Kickstarter, there was 2 grades you could go for. You could go for the normal base Spectrum Next, or you could get the accelerated, which gave you more RAM and a Raspberry Pi in it, I think, as well. Whereas I think it comes as standard with the Kickstarter 2. Plus, I think the Kickstarter 2 doesn't have an internal clock and everything as well.
It does or it doesn't?
It does. And it also, like, when I got my Kickstarter, obviously I bought mine after the Kickstarter. I bought it privately, but it hadn't been accelerated. It didn't have Wi-Fi.
That's right. You had to do that yourself.
Add all of that.
Yeah.
And do it
I didn't see many of those for sale, the non-accelerated ones. Every time I saw one for sale, it always seemed to be the accelerated model.
Because everyone upgraded them.
Because everyone upgraded it. Because at the time, it was actually relatively cheap to do, but with lockdown,
and it looked quite straightforward as well when you did it, Scott. It looked quite straightforward.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. There was a few choice words at certain moments, but
I've got the extra RAM for the Spectrum Next because obviously the new ones come with 2 gigabytes, don't they, as opposed to 1 gigabyte? Is that right? Is that right with the RAM?
The what? Yeah.
But I bought the extra RAM to install in mine, but I've just never got round to it. I bought it because it was quite cheap.
Really easy. It's literally plug and play.
Plug in.
Just slot it in. Like
I just haven't had any need to yet. But obviously, there will be some games which will need the 2 gigabytes.
I'll tell you what the most annoying thing about upgrading that is there's this little fucking plastic tab in the back that you have to try and get out to put the Pi in.
Right.
And that was driving me insane because you don't want to obviously damage anything. And they've fixed that in. That's like a blanken plate. That was a nightmare to get out. Everything else
has to be something.
Oh yeah, honestly, I was I had to calm down over that bit.
See, I mean, at one point, I mean, we've had this conversation a few times in the last few months, but at one point, I mean, the Spectrum Next was something I actually considered getting. However, in recent times, because my laptop was a piece of dog shit, obviously I started putting money aside to get a decent PC built, and now I've got that sitting here right next to me, which, by the way, it's great. I don't have to boot my computer up like 6-7 hours before a stream to make sure it's working, But the thing for me is, at this point, it's like, well, there's no point in getting a Spectrum Next because I could run that on this.
It's a good time for buying at the moment, Spectrum Next. I always said that they would drop in price when the Kickstarter 2s came out. I've seen them on the Facebook group now selling for about $325.
Yeah,
which is really good price.
They'll go up again.
Yeah, they probably will.
See, the thing is, right, is the Spectrum community, especially obviously the UK community, they love the fact that the early models of the Spectrum were built here in the UK, and the Spectrum Next was built here in the UK, whereas the Kickstarter 2 wasn't.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
always going to have people wanting the Kickstarter one, I think, personally.
Yeah.
Well, it's
usually
like
the way of things anyway, isn't it? Generally speaking, whatever it is, if something becomes a bit collectible, normally the initial ones kind of command a little bit extra. But
well, it's like people got funny about the Spectrums that were made by Amstrad, for example, and still are.
Exactly that reason. Yeah.
The purists wanted
the purists won't touch a +2 or a +3.
No.
See, and you hear them say, they will say, I don't want an Amstrad.
When I was a youngster, I didn't have a clue about any of that. I just chose the +2A because that was a new model that came out at the time. But it meant nothing to me, the difference between Amstrad and Spectrum. They're just all Spectrums to me.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. I mean, I think in terms of looks, and Scott's going to hate me for this, in terms of looks, the 2A is the nicer looking out of the two. because it's nice. It's nice black, clean color.
Black case, yeah.
You know, I think it looks nicer than the grey one. But one thing's for sure, and I can attest to this, is the grey one's definitely more compatible, and it's a much better system. It runs everything much better. Like that one, I've got a Scott.
Buying a UK one a little while back on Facebook. Somebody, one of the really known users of Sinclair for Sale, sold one. It's like their testing one, and it was a made in the UK one. They sold it really cheap, and I still to this day regret not buying that, because that would have been nice just to have had a UK made grey one.
Yeah, because there is a few about.
Yeah,
you can get them.
Yeah,
because it's basically just the toast rack inside, isn't it? They use the last of the toast racks.
Yeah,
that's
both worlds there.
I was shaking my head because I thought Lee meant that the +2 black one is the best looking Spectrum of all time. You didn't mean that, did you, Lee?
Well, I don't know.
The Spectrum toast rack is the best looking Spectrum. It's
well, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
I personally do think the +2A is the nicest looking.
Shut up! No way.
But that might be part of nostalgia, see, from me drooling over the images when it first came out and then buying it. I was just so thrilled with it.
I think in terms of +2s, the 2A is definitely the better looking one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree because of the black. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the 128K toast rack is the best looking Spectrum.
Yeah.
I'd hard to say that is the best looking 8-bit micro ever. I just think it looks awesome. Yeah, OSG says the toast rack looks like a 48K plus with fins on. Yeah, it does.
You can actually buy those.
Does that grill look?
People are selling those fins now 3D printed to fit onto the Spectrum Plus, aren't they?
Yeah, you can like glue them on.
Yeah, what was the keyboard like on the toast rack?
Good.
It was good.
Yeah, it is the same as a 48K plus.
Yeah, wasn't that the one that had the funny sort of like indented keys on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was a strange keyboard, wasn't it, to look at?
The Speccy Next, didn't it? The keys.
Yeah, but that's what I grew up with. So for me, that's what I preferred. You know, I can remember seeing my mate's C64 bread bin, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that looked outdated and shit back in the 80s. You know what I mean? Come on, I'm trying to get a response from Martin. Where is he?
You know the ironic thing, the C16 looked better, and that came out before. Hang on, was it before? No, I don't think it was. Do you remember we was confused on this on a stream that we did? Do you remember? I found out. I think it was the 16 come out after the C64.
Well, that way.
But it's the better looking system because it's basically a black bread bin.
Yeah, that's a nice looking system.
Yeah,
so that didn't come
much
out before
nicer.
The C64 then?
No, it came out afterwards. When I looked into it, because I was really surprised, it came out after the C64.
Martin's doing like Godzilla about to do his atomic breath.
Yeah, rage building. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with OSG that Commodore 64C definitely looks better than that ugly other thing.
Well, I mean, the C64C, I mean, it kind of looked a bit like a mini Amiga, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And that was the point, wasn't it, really? That was the whole point of what they did there. But yeah, so hang on, let me just double check for you. I'm sure it was the C16 when I looked into it. Because when I mentioned it in the group, everyone was like, no, really? I was like, yeah, it came out afterwards.
Because it was a business computer, I think.
It
wasn't supposed to be.
It was a budget. I think it was like to be budget, wasn't it? So it was cheaper. I mean, Commodore did weird things like that all the time, didn't they?
Well, that's why they went bust in the end, wasn't
it? Yeah, there you go. C16 come out in 1984. So yeah, it was afterwards.
See, I'd still argue that TI-99 is the nicest looking, but then technically it's 16-bit rather than 8-bit. But really, it's the 8-bit family. I mean,
it's another one of them.
The TI-99 looks awesome. It's definitely the DeLorean of the micros.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's got the DeLorean vibe going on.
It's also the Atari Jaguar of the micros because it claims it's double what it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
You know, the Jaguar did that, didn't it? You remember?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So the bread bin come out 82 and the C16 come out 2 years later. So I was right. Yeah. They should have just like switch the cases out. You know, I mean, the Vic 20 even looked better, I think, than the bread bin C64. If I'm honest, because the Vic 20 was like a creamy color. It basically exactly the same.
The creams and the browns and the...
yeah.
Well, what is it with Commodore using the same cases on all their early computers? Because that's what they did.
Yeah.
They all had exactly the same cases, just different colors.
Oh, something I've noticed, saying about creams, and seeing as we were talking about the Atari 800, the Atari 400 Mini and that earlier on, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm pretty sure the Atari 400 and 800, I'm sure there were two different case colors for those. One of them being green and one of them being like a khaki color.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because both my 400 and my 800, I had them both at the same time before I sold the 400, and they were both exactly the same color, which was like a khaki color. But if you look at them online, you'll quite often see some which are really creamy color, and I don't think that's aging the plastic. I think they were just different colors in the first place, I reckon.
Could well be.
I quite agree.
OSG's put there was a cream C64 too, but it was from Audi.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Before I go on to that, though, I just want to point out he's right. The MSX2 is a lovely looking computer. Cream C64 too, but it was from. Oh yes, we showed that. Do you remember? We did a stream. The Audi one, it basically looks like a bread bin, but it's like a creamy, like grey color. Yeah.
I think I was on that stream.
Yeah.
I've never seen an MSX2. That does look nice.
Because there was jokes, wasn't there? Somebody turned around and said, "Is there a Tesco one or something?" Wasn't it?
Right. Little.
Yeah.
That MSX2, was that just a Sony one then, or did other brands also make it?
No, I think other people did them as well, didn't they?
I've never seen one. That looks nice.
Was it the MSXs that were done by different companies? I'm sure.
Yeah, the MSX definitely was. I'm not sure about the two though.
Yeah, no, me neither.
There was Toshiba and
that's right. Yeah, Toshiba.
Toshiba did one. I can't remember who else did them. Sanyo, I think. Was it Sanyo did one as well?
Yeah, you might be right on that. Yeah, you might be right. MSX.
Yeah, that.
Hang on, let's put in manufacturers.
Yeah, that was nice. I saw one of those at Crash. What's his name had them?
What's that? Oh, Vic 20s.
Vic 20. Retro Robbins had him up at Crash. Oh, that was a cool system. That.
Right. So MSX2 was made by Sony, Philips, Samsung. Oh, come on, this can't be right. Yamaha, Sanyo. No, this can't be right. Then
I was right about Sanyo then.
This can't be right. It couldn't have been made by all of these companies. I've got JVC. I think some of these are mixing it up with the car because it says here Mitsubishi. There's no way they made one of these, surely.
I think, they did. I've seen a Mitsubishi one.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, seriously, these are the companies that are coming up under this.
Yeah.
Sony, Philips, Samsung, Yamaha, Sanyo, Spectra Video, Daewoo, Canon, Hitachi, Mitsubishi, JVC, National, ACVS.
Are we talking about MSXs?
Yeah, MSX2.
Yeah, there was loads of them. There was Toshiba as well.
Yeah, I think we said about Toshiba already, didn't we? The one that I was trying to remember, I could have sworn there was a Panasonic, but obviously not. I must have been getting that mixed up with the 3DO. And JVC, because JVC was another one as well. That's mental. So loads of people made them.
Scott's with a beer there.
It was selling the system that was the early starts of Microsoft and the whole PC age. Yeah.
Well, we knew a lot of people did the MSX, but we wasn't sure on the MSX2. That's why I was looking it up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get you. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was that many that done the MSX2, but the thing is, it was in different regions under different people as well. The MSX2.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever officially released in the UK.
Isn't it? Is it that Paul's got the MSX2, or is it the first one?
No, he's got an MSX2.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, they're hard to they're not as easily to get over here because I don't think they're readily available. The original MSX was released here, but I don't know if
the MSX is the MSX2 then. Is that still 8-bit or?
I think it's a bit like the TI-99 in the fact that
it's slightly high end, isn't it? Of that,
it's higher end.
It's when you see the games, they look a lot more impressive.
Oh yeah, I was watching a video the other day on a new homebrew game for the MSX2, and that looked like Amiga quality.
Yeah,
some of that. Yeah, really good.
Do you know what it is? It's probably, you remember our what's his name, Bagley, Jim Bagley said to me with the Spectrum when I said, "Is it 16 like bit because it looks like Amiga?" And he went, "No, it's 8-bit, but we put a little bit of trickery and magic in there." Yeah, this is how he explained the Spectrum next to me. He said, "No, it's still 8, but we put a little bit of trickery in there." So my guess is they must have done something similar with the MSX. You know, just to give it that little higher end, that edge over everything else. So
yeah,
and I mean the games are expensive as well for them.
What, the MSX?
Yeah, the games on.
There's a lot of Konami games.
That's right. Yeah,
I never knew anybody when I was a kid that had an MSX, but then I didn't know anybody that owned half these computers. To be honest, almost everyone I knew had a Specky back in the day. There
you go. Look what Paul's saying here. Blows any other 8-bit shooter away. It's like an arcade. Yeah, and that's the thing. So this is the thing. If you think about the fact that you're getting loads of Konami games that look like the arcade, I mean, they're going to be expensive, right?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, it's like when the Neo Geo come about, it was almost arcade perfect, and you was paying all that money for a game, weren't you?
Well, so, Metal Gear Solid was on the MSX.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So this Space Mambo, is that an original game, is it, or homebrew?
That's a homebrew, I believe.
Oh, right. I'm just looking it up now.
Space Mambo.
Oh, bloody adverts.
But yeah, no, there's some amazing looking games on the MSX too.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
That does look more like an Amiga game, doesn't it?
That's another system to add to that collection of yours, mate.
Do you know what I find funny, right? Is when you turn around and say, Tetlee, "Oh, I ain't really got the room of it." It's like, but your place is bigger than mine. Like, you know, and I managed to fit a lot in.
Oh, OSG has just said that Space Mambo game is actually original. So there you go.
That's incredible. Okay. Wow, I'd have been blown away if I'd had that back in the day.
Yeah.
Mind you, one thing I can say, going back to what I was just saying a second ago, is you leave all your stuff set up permanently.
I do. Yeah, I don't.
I have to put mine away and then. Yeah. See,
if I didn't have everything set up, I just wouldn't play it.
Which is what I do. You see, I don't have every single micro set up, and the ones that don't get played. Like the Atari, like my Amstrad, they just sit in a box.
See, I just get
everything in mine. Everything in my room is all ready to switch on and play. I've got everything plugged in. It's all plugged into monitors and everything.
Oh, I've got loads plugged in, ready to go. My Saturn, all my consoles pretty much. But the only micros is my Spectrum Next, and this will please Martin. And my Commodore 64 is set up.
This is my Martin impression.
Or not, this is wrong. I've got to change this. I've got a Commodore 64C set up. And I've got a Commodore 64 Maxi set up. So what I'm going to do is get rid of that C and put the Atari in its place and flog that crappy old Commodore.
Either that or change your name to Commodore Zombie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If I had my own sort of like room, I mean, I would have everything set up so it's ready to go. But unfortunately, I don't have that luxury. So
I'm really lucky in here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, certain things are obviously, like, for example, I mean, I did have the Xbox and the PS4 set up on a desk permanently.
But I've got the charger, guys.
But when I got the PC sorted out, it was like, well, I don't need the Xbox 360 set up now because I can play all that on there. So basically, I've just got the PS4 and the PC set up. Anything else I want to do, I just get it out and put it on there, you know. And then all I do is I've got a wireless keyboard, so I take the keyboard off the desk and I put wherever I'm playing there in its place. You know.
Yeah.
It's not really that hard work, really, if I'm honest. Just plugging
It's
in.
amazing what you can fit, though, sometimes when you reshuffle things around and you start stacking things up. I mean, I've got to admit, the amount of stuff I've got in here set up is, for the space I've got, is pretty good. But it's taken me ages and ages of planning. I must have rearranged things a million times to make space that everything can be set up ready to go.
The key when you're in a flat, right, for starters, you know, if you've got films, I've got an ottoman behind me. That's where most of my films are, in that. So you wouldn't know they're there, right? And I've got, when it comes to my gaming stuff, I've got a bed that lifts up. It's perfect. Oh. So it all just lives under there. So I just lift it up, take out what I want, set it up, play it, put it away, back under there again. And it's kind of good as well, because if it's something I don't want it to get sun damaged, well, it won't do under there. So, you know, so, yeah. Yeah, like you say, you have to be a little bit more inventive when you haven't got the room.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know.
Right, I'll be back in a sec. I'm going to go and grab a beer. Scott's been tempting me with those little cans of ale there that he's got.
Wow, I've been drinking. It's my new favourite pastime.
I'm on the relentless.
I've only had 2 beers this year so far. Just haven't really felt like drinking.
Really?
I did a dry. I almost did dry January without intending to, but then I was sick for a lot of it, wasn't I? With that bloody.
Yeah, you was ill.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be back in a tick.
Oh, yep.
That's one of my dream computers. That is.
Yeah.
And FM Towns, but they are going ludicrous. They're ludicrous.
Yeah.
The prices, and obviously you've got to import it from Japan unless you're lucky enough to find someone selling one here. But
how much are you talking these days for one of them?
Oh, a couple of grand.
Wow. Crazy money.
Crazy money. You could probably get it cheaper if you took the risk, get it from Japan, but you're going to have loads of issues with it.
Yeah.
I think they run on a certain monitor as well. The monitor and the computer is all part of the same thing. They're a bit of a nightmare.
Kind of what they did with the Amstrad sort of thing.
Yeah. Keep the C, get rid of the Maxi. See, the thing is this is where the Commodore 64 Maxi, I like it, because...
Can I get one of them beds and put my wife under it?
That's brilliant.
I like your thinking.
You just need to get one that's soundproof.
It's one of those ones that folds up into the wall, like Austin Powers.
Yeah, Austin Powers job. Yeah, that would work. I love that comment. I'm going to leave that up there for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, what I was saying, that the C64 Maxi, for me, is the perfect way for me to play Commodore, because Commodore 64, I've got nostalgia for it because I had loads of friends and family that had them when we grew up. But it's for a quick blast with me with the C64. It's not like the Spectrum where I'll sit all evening playing games. You know, I have a quick blast on a Commodore.
I'm going to say 2 words, Scott. Space Taxi.
Yeah, that's a great game. See, whenever I put my Maxi on, that's always that game I play.
Yeah, same, because that's the thing. I had it back in the day on my original Commodore 64, and I had it on disc. It was a copy.
It was only released on disc, wasn't it, in America?
Yeah, but this was a copy because, like you say, it was only released in America, so it was a copy of it. But yeah, I mean, to play it now, the only way. I've got a disc drive now, but I mean, the chances of finding a disc that for a reasonable price that works, probably highly unlikely. Last time I saw one on eBay, the disc was stupid money.
Another little dig at the Commodore 64 and the disc drive, right?
Yeah.
Is I can remember a few years ago, I got a massive bundle of Commodore 64 and it had a disc drive with loads of discs. And I thought, wow, this is going to be good. So I set it all up. And the discs take nearly as long as a fucking tape to load. And I thought, what's the point in this?
Do you know the funny thing? I don't remember them taking that long when I was a kid.
They take bloody ages. Whereas, like with the Spectrum Plus 3, you put the disc in and it's almost instant load.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind that it took so long for them discs to load in.
I don't remember it taking that long, but then the thing for me was when I had my C64 with the disc drive, I didn't really know any better then.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. It's only like in recent times when people have gone, oh, didn't they take ages alone? It's like, do they? I don't remember them taking that long. But yeah, I had no frame of reference.
See, I'm no Commodore expert, but you can get like expansions that go in the back of the cartridge slot that make the disc load faster, I think.
Yeah, it puts a fast load on.
But
it's
like
a cartridge.
loader. Yeah.
You can get them. I think Martin's got one. I'm sure he has.
You bloody need one, really, don't you?
See, the thing is, if for example you're emulating it, you can actually speed it up on the emulators when you're loading them.
Yeah.
You can like accelerate the speed on it, and it loads it so much quicker.
Yeah, see, that's what's good about having the Spectrum Next with a Pi in it, is that you can load the what are the files called? I can't remember what the files are
Steel
called.
Ranger, yeah, that's a good game.
But you can load them like you would an original tape, but you can, like what you said there, you can speed them up.
Yeah.
So you get the full experience.
Am I going crazy, or did there used to be some cassette games on a Specky where they would do like a ultra load or something? They'd load quicker.
Yes.
Which ones? Because I haven't got any of those. I was sure there did used to be some.
Oh, some of the there was a game I loaded recently, and you'll find that the Next really struggles to load them.
Oh, really?
Because,
what did they call that? What did they call it with that when they used to load really quick?
Oh, I can't remember. But yeah, I know what you mean, because it's completely different how the loading picture goes up, and you don't get the generic sort of loading bars. It's all very different.
It's a lot kind of flashy, I think.
That's right. I loaded a game the other day, and I can't think what it was now, and that was a fast load.
And I didn't know if that was just me with a sort of weird memory, that I got it wrong, because I haven't seen none of the games I've rebought have got it, but I was sure there did used to be some which would load.
A lot of the related games, I think some of the players' games might be fast load as well.
You know what I found interesting about Spectrum was you could always tell when a game was a simple game on it because of how quick it loads. Like, for example, Nifty Lifty loads really fast.
Yeah.
And you can tell why, because it's a pretty simple premise, isn't it? You know?
It was probably a 16K game, because like Death Chase, one of my favourite games, that loads really quick, because it's less than 16K, that game. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. But that's how you tell. When you're loading them, you can tell, it's just, this one's not going to be a complex game because look how quick it loaded, Yeah. Right, okay. Shall we move into another topic? Let's do this one. Worst and best beat 'em ups on the micros. This one will get you thinking.
I want to know micros in general.
Yeah. Well, do you know what, right? I had a look, and I've got to be honest, there a lot of the ones that I could remember being bad on the Commodore 64 were actually pretty good on the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Like Renegade springs to mind.
Oh, yeah. You know that.
Vigilante was another one.
Oh, I'm not sure about as good on the Specky.
Well, it wasn't that good on the 64, I can tell you that.
I think they're equal badness, aren't they? But different styles of games, if I remember rightly.
I don't know. I mean, like, a lot of people actually say they think it was better on the Spectrum.
Oh.
I think it is slightly.
Yeah. IK Plus, well, I mean, that was really good on the C64.
Yeah.
Find it hard.
It plays really well on the Spectrum as well. You just don't have the music or the... well, it does have music, the Spectrum one, doesn't it? But it's not the same iconic one.
If I remember right, I think the Amstrad version was quite good on that as well, wasn't it?
It is, yeah. The Amstrad version of IK Plus is pretty close to the Atari ST version.
Yeah.
I think they all got, I think all versions of IK Plus were pretty good. Obviously, C64 was the best one, but
you know what? We're including one-on-one fighters in this beat 'em ups, are we?
That's what I was going to ask as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
well, we've already said Renegade, so it can't be, can it?
Well, I mean,
we said Renegade, we said IK Plus, so yeah, we can, because
I mean, they're all beat 'em ups. It's just different types of beat 'em ups. Because I mean, Renegade's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're all beat 'em ups, really. But I
the
mean,
worst one's got to be Double Dragon 3, then, hasn't it?
Well, any Double Dragon, really. They were all atrocious on the micros.
I'm moving the camera so you can see one of the best beat 'em ups. Can you see that picture on my door?
I can't.
Barbarian.
Oh, yeah.
That was good on C64.
I'm still after the bloody poster for that.
Hey, look, Pixel Plug said one I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was good on...
That picture I just showed of Barbarian is the original artwork from Palace Software's headquarters.
Really?
I bought it off a guy that actually
Wow.
cleared their offices 30 years ago, whenever they went bust. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I would say Target Renegade was good on all systems. I'm sure it was. If I remember right, that was a good game on all of them. I'm sure it was. Is IK Plus a beat 'em up though? Well, what would you class it as? It's not a one-on-one fight because there's 3 of them, so it doesn't fall into that category either. So, you know what? It's my stream, so fuck it. It's a beat 'em up.
So is it one-on-one, not classed beat 'em up then?
Well, I didn't know that. Let's just say we're talking about fighting games.
Yeah, if you're using your fist, just beat 'em up.
No. I'm putting my foot down. It's a beat 'em up. We're talking about it. It's a beat 'em up. There you go.
Yeah.
But someone else has said, what's this? Spectrum games load fast because there's not much to them.
That's fighting talk.
Martin's declaring war there. Renegade 3 was shocking. Yeah, I think we agree that's shocking on everything. Street Hassle was shit. Street Hassle. I remember the name, but I don't remember what it looks like.
I don't know that one.
Is that the one that had, if I'm right, that's the one that had really bad colour clash on it. It was one that, if I remember right, they paid a lot of attention to the background, but not so much the fighting. Watching on 2X to catch up with live. Right, hang on.
Yeah, he goes back to 1X for the Commodore bits, I bet you.
So, Pixel Plug, if you can fill me in, is this the one I'm thinking of where they concentrated more on the backgrounds than the actual, like, what the character's doing? Because if I'm right, if you had more than a couple of characters, it proper slowed down because they'd put too much into all the background on it.
What was Street Hassle's other name? Because OSG's saying there's 2 names.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I've seen a video about Street Hassle. Sure I have.
What was that? Street Hassle C64. I'm looking it up.
I'm just looking to see because I made a list of some of the games I was thinking of. So here's one, right? Now this one you could class as a platformer. In fact, it's probably more of a platformer, but you still fight Bruce Lee. What would you class that as?
Street Hassle was a bit controversial, wasn't it? Starts off beating up a blind guy with a bloody stick, and then he's beating up a gorilla. What the hell?
Yeah, this sounds like the same one. It sounds like the same one.
Bad Street Brawler.
Oh look, actually it had 3 names: Bop and Rumble and Bad Street Brawler. Did they keep changing the name because it was so crap no one bought it, so they changed the name and re-released it?
Probably in different publishing.
It's got to be in it.
Yeah,
you got that bad a reputation. They just kept changing the name.
Now he's beating up an old granny. What the hell?
So obviously, like I said,
I need to get this game.
Blind Guys, yeah. This is the one I think I'm thinking about. I'm sure it is. But yeah, like so. What I was saying. So yeah, this is what OSG saying. It is predominantly a platform game, but you do fight. So I don't know. I suppose it's one of them that kind of falls into both a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, but a platform puzzler in it. There ain't really that much fighting. You do like a fly kick thing, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but it's a good game, and it is good on most.
What was that game on the Specky, a late one that got the look really good? It was like big sprites. It was like a later arcade game, side-scrolling. You had big sprites. It looked pretty good graphically, but it was really slow. It just
Final Fight.
It was Final Fight. Yeah, that was it.
That game, I remember thinking, that blew my mind. I thought this looks amazing.
Yeah, so
it runs at about 2 frames a second.
Yeah. In the magazines, it looked incredible.
Yeah, that has got to be one of the worst.
I wonder if that'd be any good accelerated on the next.
That's a good idea.
So is that the original version that you're talking about? Because obviously you ended up with Mighty Final Fight as well, didn't you?
Oh no, this is the original proper one. Mighty Final Fight was a homebrew, which is fantastic.
It's a good game,
But no, the original Final Fight, it looked the business, but my God. Honestly.
Yeah, see, Street Fighter 2, that is a one-on-one fighter. So, but I think we can all agree that was terrible on everything. The only one I'd say wasn't too bad on the Amiga was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat was actually quite playable.
Yeah. Oh, do you remember Body Blows on the Amiga?
See, now I remember back familiar. In the day, I loved that game. But I went back to it, and it's
shit, isn't it? It's terrible. Yeah. When you go back to it, you can't play it. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's bloody shit.
Like you can't get a hit in before the computer completely stomps you into the ground. Like, and that's on the first level.
I don't think I ever played that one.
It was two. You had Body Blows, and then what was the other one? Was the other one Galactic Body Blows or
something? Yeah.
Well, that was terrible and all. Like, good concept, but it just didn't work. The game didn't work. The graphics looked nice, but that was where it ended, really. Yeah.
That was the advantage they had back in the old days, though, wouldn't it? You could get swept along with the screenshots, and it's not like now where you see all YouTube preview plays and that, you know.
Yeah.
Very often you'd only seen screens of it before you bought it.
That's when the micros died, though, weren't it? Because at the end of the day, they were trying to replicate the consoles and the arcades when really they should have stuck at what they done well.
Yeah.
Because look at gaming now, you know, I know PC and consoles are pretty much in line with each other, but, you know, you had a lot of PC gamers because they were the better systems for playing your RTSs and your all these online sort of RPGs and that. Whereas kind of the Amiga tried to be a Mega Drive or a Super Nintendo and tried to bring out games which, it's a bit of a shame, really. If they had stuck at what they were good at.
Yeah.
Look at this one, Rise of the Robots. Oh God, that was shocking on everything.
Yeah,
I mean that was quite an achievement to make a game so bad that it was bad on everything. You know, no matter what that was released.
One, wasn't it?
You what?
Wasn't that on PlayStation 1, Rise of the Robots?
No, that was Mega Drive, SNES, Amiga.
Oh yeah. I played it. I never bought it, thankfully.
It's come out on everything.
They brought a sequel out, and that came out on the Sega Saturn, so it might have got a PlayStation 1 release as well.
No, really? it was the original one. I think it might have been on the SNES. I played it.
Yeah.
What's this? Fighting Spirit on the Amiga is the best one on one fight. Fighting Spirit.
I don't think I've played that one.
I recognise the name. I just can't remember what it looked like. Oh yeah, now this is a good one. What Pixel Plug's saying? If Angels was released back in the day, for the Spectrum,
yeah.
That's a good looking game. Yeah, I need to get that. I don't think you can get it on physical at the moment. No,
you know what? It's a great looking game, but I'm not actually that keen on that one.
It looks great. It plays great, but it's very repetitive, isn't it?
Yeah, I wish you could move up and down a little bit, like sort of Double Dragon kind of style, rather than just in a straight line. It doesn't feel that much point in switching between the two Angels, I don't think.
No.
So
what's some of the other worst? We talked about Double Dragon. That, unfortunately, I don't think ever got a really decent micro release, did it?
No.
Didn't really get a good release on anything. I mean, even like when they brought the second one out on the Mega Drive, that was terrible.
Well, the first one on the Mega Drive was terrible as well. I think the best sort of version of Double Dragon was probably the Super Nintendo one.
They brought out a compilation, didn't they, on a Switch recently for that Double Dragon?
They've also released one on the PS4, which I'm going to be doing a video on soon. It's called Double Dragon Gaiden.
Oh, I've seen that one.
It's a weird game. It's a very weird game.
Whose video was it I was watching? It was either Hyper Trigger or 8-Bit Boy, I think it was. It picked up the compilation. It had like 1, 2, 3, and 4 on it for the Switch.
Yeah, that one's. I think you can only get that abroad at the moment. I have seen that.
Is that one of those limited edition things?
I don't know if it's limited, but I know I've seen it on Amazon, and you have to get it from Amazon Europe at the moment.
OSG's just put the Double Dragon Advance.
Yeah.
I've never played that on Advance. Is that like Super Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo? That'd be interesting. I need to track that down now. Double Dragon
Gaiden, like I said, I've got to do a video on it, but it's a weird game, right? You've got to go along, beat people up, and you've got to collect money. And it seems that what you've got to do is you've got to buy yourself into the end area to finish. I don't know if it's to finish the level or the entire game. I only had a quick blast on it, and I didn't really like it that much. And I thought, I don't get what I'm supposed to be doing here. What's the point of this?
It looked quite good, that one. Has it got online
don't get me
co-op?
wrong. Don't get me wrong. The graphics look great. Yeah, the sound is great, but it's not Double Dragon. That's the problem.
No.
You know? Like there was
I am
one
now on eBay looking for Double Dragon Advance. I'm that intrigued.
Yeah, there was a point where I got into one of the levels, went up a lift, and it's basically the boss from, I think it's Double Dragon 1. You know, he's got the machine gun.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, hang on, what's going on here? Like, how comes I've already found this guy? Like, you know, and yeah, it seems like what you got to do is you've got to collect enough money to then be able to get to a certain area in the game to, and I don't know if that's to finish that level or to finish the game. I don't know. It's very weird. It seems to be all about beating people up to get money, and it's like, I don't. This is not Double Dragon. What is this? Like, you know, I wasn't keen. Expensive,
maybe
right?
I won't be getting that one.
Whoa,
Jesus!
Yeah.
It's done by Atlas, so anything.
Oh, is it?
Goes for crazy money.
Yeah,
it?
but you've got a handheld emulation device. Just download the ROM, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got my new Amberneck thing, haven't I?
Speaking of which, now Paul said that, I'll probably have a look on my Miu Mini and see if I've got it on there. It's bound to be on there.
Buy this one.
DD on steroids. By
a nice graded one. It's only 250 quid. That one.
No, only. But Paul's saying here it's like Double Dragon on steroids. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Scott, it's an amazing game. Double Dragon Arcade.
I've got a feeling I played that Game Boy Advance. Is it Game Boy Advance? He said it's on.
Yeah.
See,
did the little sprites have bigger heads on that one?
No, that's the Game Boy. That's your normal Game Boy version.
Oh, was it?
Not the NES.
It could well be the version I'm on about on the PS4 as well, because you've got small body, big heads on that one as well.
Yeah, this wasn't PS4 I'm thinking of, though. It's one I played years ago. I'm sure that was on a Game Boy Advance. I played that version.
But what Paul's saying here, Double Dragon Arcade, that was the first game I ever played on the arcade, so it's got a lot of nostalgia, that one. I used to love that game. Although, if you go back to it now...
We had it in our chippy up the road, and we used to play it every night. And the only trouble was that end bit where you had to fight each other. We normally fall out over that.
Well, the other thing is that if you go back to it now, it feels trickier to play. I don't remember it being so awkward.
Yeah, we got so good at it that we could complete it on 10 pence each in the end.
Yeah, same. Yeah. If you played it enough, and I mean, at the time when I first started playing that, it was all I ever wanted to play until because I used to love them sort of games. It was only when I think Turtles come out, I was like, oh, hang on, you know. And then obviously Simpsons come about, which was basically just a reskin of Turtles, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I've got an Ambernick to review and give away in a few. Yeah, look, Ambernick, see, perfect thing to play that game on. Yeah, Scott was showing me this the other day.
What price were they then?
This one came in the shop, so I just grabbed it.
Oh.
You can pick them up for anywhere between, I don't know, around 80, 90 quid, I think, because they're not the newest one out now. There's a newer one out, I think, since then, but they do run a lot. I mean, me and Scott was talking about it the other week, and you can get Dreamcast to run on them.
Do you know what I think was one of my favourite handhelds? I know I'm drifting a bit here. One of my favourite handhelds I ever owned was the do you remember the Game Park GP32s?
Yes, I remember them.
Oh, they were great. I loved that thing. I think they're quite expensive now.
They were like the first sort of Chinese emulated devices, weren't they?
They had a lovely screen on them, backlit.
God, you're going back there, aren't you? Oh, Christ, that's got to be 15 plus years ago.
Yeah, I played the hell out of that thing.
These new ones they're all IPS screens. They've got a really good. That one that Scott's got.
This
got a really good screen.
This.
Yeah, one of the best screens.
Is that aluminium the case, or is it plastic?
Yeah, that's aluminium.
So that's the metal variant. That's the 353M. They do a plastic one, which is the 353P. Yeah, the one that Scott's got there was actually one I was after at one stage. It's a good device.
It's really nice. I've just looked. The Game Boy Advance games on there. It's only got the Mario games. It hasn't got that, so I'll have to see if I can get it on there.
350. That's an older one. You'd have a lot of trouble trying to get. You wouldn't get Dreamcast running on that. That one's too old now. Yeah, you do get a good image. They've all got good screens on them. The Miu Mini's pretty good. I mean, I've had PS1 running on it. The only time I had trouble with a game on that was, what was it I tried running? Wipeout. It suffered with slowdown on that. Did not like that on the PS1.
No.
But I still need to do a video.
Wipeout's got to be one of those games that really push a system, I suppose.
Yeah, that's why I tested it to see if it could do it. But I still need to do a review on that because I've had that a while and I still haven't done one. But yeah, right. Okay, let's have a look. What have we got left? Right. Okay, BBC Master, because Mr. ZX Tetlee has one of these, and it's not something I've ever really come across.
Oh, they're an awesome thing. Do you know, it's weird because obviously I've got, like probably most of us, I know Scott used to play them at school.
Yeah.
But I never realised until actually buying one. How long have I had that one now? Probably a year or so ago. I never realised how many great games there were on there. Because, of course, I only ever played it at school. So you only got to play certain games on it. And I always thought it was great for some games, but the library was really small. But you know what? There's so many really good games on that system.
Yeah, sorry, I think the BBC is one of those systems that I've always wanted to get. I've never had the opportunity for one coming up for a good price.
You've never bought one? You haven't got one? I thought you had one.
No, I don't have a BBC.
Get that. Go on to. You need to join if you fancy one. Get on Facebook, and there's a guy on there. I think he sells them in. I think there's a BBC. Well, I can send you a link anyway to one of the groups. Yeah. There's a guy called Mark Hazeman, and he sells them really good price, and he does them all up first, recaps them, and does everything on them, puts new power supply and everything on them, and he sells them pretty.
Yeah, that's why I've not bought one in the wild, because I know that there's a lot of work you have to do to them. In there, yeah.
He does everything on them, but I'll tell you what, as a system, if I was to choose the best system for build quality, looks, and games, I think combining everything, I'd probably go for that. I'd probably go for the BBC Micro.
Right.
Just because it's built like a brick shithouse, really is. And when you think those keyboards had to survive us 80s kids in school,
yeah,
and most of them are still running, that's got to say a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah,
so I'm reading through the comments.
You've got two models, didn't you? You've got the A and the B.
That's right, yeah. The A were the early ones. The Bs are the ones you want, really. And the Master is just a little bit more powerful, and you've got the two cartridge slots.
So did the Master have exclusive games then that the others didn't have?
It didn't back in the day. It has now in the way of homebrew, but only a couple of games, to be honest. It's got it's got a few features as well. So as far as original games go, there were some Master enhanced games. So you had like one of my favorite games on there, which is Crazy Rider. I think Lee's got that on the Electron. But on the
I've got an Elk SD which plays like all the SD card full of games, and they send you the full catalogue. So I probably have got it. Yeah.
Yeah. But on that game, you've got
stripped down BBC then? Is the Electron, so it's not as powerful as a normal BBC, or
no, the Electron isn't as good as the BBC. It's a lot smaller though, and it was basically a cheaper system.
Right, I get you.
But on the on Crazy Rider, you got the Master Enhanced version where you get different coloured riders that your opponents basically, and you get like some extra animations when you knock yourself, you sort of spin around on your bike rather than just like stopping. And you get like the soundtrack and everything. It's really cool music in that game. So yeah, you do get a few. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Homebrew, you got Stunt Car Racer.
Yeah,
and also Prince of Persia, but I've never got that to work for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, the reason, I mean, I never had any nostalgia for the BBC, which is why I got the Electron, because I did have nostalgia for that.
Yeah,
a friend of mine had one, so I did occasionally play it. And we used to play, was it Space Command? I think it was Space Command.
Oh, Starship Command.
Starship Command, that's right. I did a video on that
one. Yeah.
So we used to play that a lot. But Yeah, I never really had any experience with the BBC. So, I mean, when you got the BBC Master, I was like, okay, so what's that? You know? So are these quite hard to find these days, BBC Masters? Or
No, they're pretty easy, to be honest. When I bought mine, I got mine on a Facebook group. And when I first saw it for sale, I thought, oh, wow, because I hadn't seen one since school, the BBC Master. And I had to get it. I got super excited about seeing it. But actually, I've seen a few for sale since then. So they're not that hard to come by. Obviously, the Model B is easier to find. But the design of them is a little bit different. I mean, I personally think the Master's the nicest design. But that's probably partly nostalgia because I always thought they looked super cool at school. Because we used to have, in our school, we had a computer room in like senior school.
Yeah.
First of all, probably like most kids, you had these just wheel them in on a little trolley, the computer. But then in the end, we had a computer room, and you used to have like you had like 5 BBC micros, and then at the end of each row of desks, you had a BBC Master. So when you would go in, you would always want to be on a Master just because it looked cooler.
Yeah, I get it.
You'd all be doing the same stuff, but you felt kind of special if you got that one.
So here's a question. Like, I mean, I imagine back in the day, you obviously paid more for a Master. Is that the case still now? If you used to pick one up,
you pay more for a Master than a Model B. And I think back in the day, as far as I'm aware, I don't think you would have even been able to buy a BBC Master, to be honest. I think they were literally for educational. You could buy a Model B, but they were fucking expensive, I think.
Yeah.
So I didn't know anybody that owned one. But they're really nice. It's a really nice computer. I mean, the keyboard's rock solid on it. It's got a really nice feeling keyboard. And of course, if you wanted to program anything, BBC Basic is probably the best basic out of all of them.
Yeah, the BBC is massive, isn't it?
Yeah. The Master's even bigger.
No wonder you run out of room, Tetlee.
Yeah, it's true.
The funny thing is, I mean, when I went to college, I did some computer programming in college. We learned Q Basic, which quickly sort of went out the window. Pretty much went out the window as I was learning it, because as I was learning that, the year above me was learning Visual Basic. So, but yeah, it's interesting because obviously a lot of what I was learning in Q Basic, a lot of you was probably starting to learn at school with the BBC Micros. I never had that. The only basic I ever learned was when you used to do the old programs out the C64 manual.
All right, yeah.
So anything I learned in basic, I learned at home on my Commodore 64 until I went to college,
What OSG's just put about Micro Men. I love that film.
Oh, that's brilliant.
My favourite bit, and I've got to get the clip of it to have on here for the stream.
Yeah.
Jet Set fucking Willie. I love that bit. That is my favourite bit in that film. Jet Set fucking Willie.
Funny enough, I only watched that again the other night, actually.
Yeah, I watched it over Christmas again. Yeah. And I was just like, that makes me laugh. I love that film.
So do I.
And he plays the part so well because it's what's his name off of Pointless, isn't it?
Oh, Martin. TheHobbyLodge is just saying he's not seen it. Martin, watch Micro Men.
You've got to watch it.
There's no excuse because it's everywhere as well. You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube for free. Just watch it on there,
Yeah, it's because it's got I forget the name of the actors now, but it's got the guy that was in The Office.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then you got the guy off of Pointless as well. Yeah.
Alexander Armstrong.
The cast is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it basically, I mean, the majority of the story, not going to give too much away here, Martin, but a lot of it's between like the Electron and the Spectrum. Yeah, Alexander Armstrong, yeah.
Hey, there's Paul.
Martin Freeman, that's it. Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, found it. I'll watch it after this. Oh, you've got to watch it.
You'll enjoy that.
Because this is a thing. I mean, it was widely known that Clive Sinclair had an issue with people using Spectrums for games. He wanted them to be used for learning purposes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that bit when he just goes, Jet Set fucking Willie, like that. It doesn't matter. Every time I watch that film, that bit always has me in fits of laughter. It's so funny. Because apparently he used to rant like that. He used to proper kick off. But then he was Scottish, so maybe that's why. I mean, the old Scots when they lose their rag, they lose their rag. Like, Awesome film. Yeah, it's funny. It's a funny film. Jet Set, fucking really.
I'm
That's
probably
gonna be
going to
stuck in my head now.
now.
I might have to now. I might have to. Yeah.
It's one of those you can rewatch as many times as you like. It's always going to be good.
Yeah.
Do you know the funny thing is with that? I mean, if someone had said to you back in the day, "Oh, we're going to do this film about Clive Sinclair and him against, you know, the guy with the Acorn Electron and the BBC," you would have thought that back then. If someone said that was the premise for the film, you'd be like, "Man, that's going to be crap." Like, wouldn't you? You'd think that's rubbish, but when you watch it, it's really good, and it reminds me a lot of what they did with the Apple movie Tetris.
Oh,
you
right.
know, if someone said to you, "Oh, they're doing a movie about Tetris," I bet loads of people thought, "Oh, that's going to be crap." I'm telling you, that film is great. If you've not watched it,
that's really good. I've not watched it because
it's marvelous. It's a really good film.
We talked about this last time we were on. But
so good.
Because I haven't got Apple TV. I know you can stream it on these sort of sites and everything, but I never got around to doing that with the popcorn or whatever it is.
The best part at the end, right, is there's a bit. I'm not going to give too much away, but there's a bit with a bit of a high speed chase, right? But what they've done is they've got the Tetris music, and they've kind of almost what's the best way to put it? They've almost done a Benny Hill thing with it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like it's not the Benny Hill music, but when you watch it, it will remind you of when he's running around chasing women. You know, only they're doing it in cars, chasing each other.
You honestly, can't beat classic Benny Hill, can you?
Oh, if anyone in the chat, I don't know if anyone in the chat has watched. Yeah, see, Paul's watched it. Paul, you know what I'm on about, the bit with the chase at the end. And it reminds you of Benny Hill, doesn't it? But it's with the Tetris music. Yeah, if you haven't watched it, it's really good. You've got to watch it. It was one of the first things I watched when I got Plex, and because it's on there. King of Kong. Yeah, I've watched that. Yeah, I have watched that. Do you know what? One of the things I realised when I watched that King of Kong, he's an absolute arse, that guy, isn't he?
Oh, he's an arrogant tool.
Oh, what a douchebag.
Where's that on then, King of Kong?
I think you can watch that on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah, I think it's on it.
And that's where I see it.
I'll watch that weekend then.
Again, that's on Plex as well. The Commodore story, yeah, I still haven't watched that. I think it's in my watch list.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
Oh, is it? Oh, you only said that because it's
got yeah, it's really boring. That's good sleep to, that is.
Yeah, so was it here? Yeah, they sort of playing the Tetris music in the background all the way through. Yeah. But it is a good story as well. Yeah, like what Paul's saying here, because what they managed to do is they've got a factual story, but they've also managed to make it kind of funny as well. Like it's a really good mixture. Like
it's about the guy going to Russia to get the rights to the game, isn't it, or something?
Oh, mate, honestly, when you watch it, you will not believe the sort of things that are going on. It's amazing, really, how it all worked out in the end, because it was such a clusterfuck. Like you had people selling the rights to it who didn't have the rights to it. You know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like when you watch it,
I was saying to you last time, I watched a documentary years ago called "From Russia with Love," which was basically the same thing, a more sort of serious take on it.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. Just all what went on with Tetris. Now the poor guy that created it was just basically completely robbed of the game.
Well, yeah and no, because when you watch the Tetris movie, you find out what happened to him in the end. So, yeah.
There's one called the Spectrum Story, but you have to pick if you want sound effects or music.
Oh, that's pretty
I
good.
thought the Spectrum one was called Color Clash.
Yeah.
Can't beat a bit of Color Clash.
Love it.
Yeah, Robert Maxwell. Yeah, was trying to sell it when they never owned it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But someone said here about Console Wars. I'm sure I've watched that as well. Sure I have.
What's that on?
Because I don't know, but I'm sure I've watched it, because that's when they go into all the details about all the adverts. You know how like you had was it Sega does what Nintendo don't, you know, sort of thing.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, and all that lot. And you know, they went for the more edgy look and all that. Yeah. It was really good. Right. Okay. Right. So I want to try and fit this in before we wrap up, and that is, as we always go into homebrew. But I've been playing a bit of homebrew recently. Before I tell you the ones I've been playing, have any of you guys been playing any homebrew just of late? Anything new or?
I've picked up a fair bit of homebrew.
Have you?
But I've been mostly playing Spectrum Next. To be fair, I've not played a lot of the homebrew games.
Yeah. About you, Tetlee?
I've been playing the ones which I already showed on my video from Midnight Brew. Have you got any of them, Scott? The Midnight Brew games?
No, I haven't.
They're really cool, actually. They're all good games. That's the thing with them. But you know what? I haven't tried yet.
Didn't you have to buy the whole set, Tetlee?
I think you did, but I don't know about now. But to be honest, they're good value anyway to buy the whole set because they work out about 12 quid each, which is about right anyway. But what I'm impressed with this range is all of the games are really good. So like the ones on the newest, on the second round, so I've got 10 altogether now, but been playing that one a little bit.
Oh, Mr. Do.
Really good version of it. Really good. This one I did a video of ages ago. So
what's that one? Rally X.
Maze Death Rally X. It's basically a Rally X clone, but really good one.
Sounds really interesting.
Good. And then I got Lunar Rescue.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Really cool. And I got mixed up when I got this one in the collection. I wouldn't have bought this because I thought I was getting mixed up with Lunar Lander. And I thought I've already got that on the arcade one-up, so I'm not going to want to play that. But I completely forgot Lunar Rescue is a completely different game. It's really good fun. And this one you guys have played, I think, before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see why you like it. I hadn't played it until I got the
game, right?
Yeah,
I don't actually own that one physical, so
perhaps I don't. I've only got it digital. So is there a physical version of it out?
Which I haven't played yet, which I'll say,
nothing.
That is a brilliant game as well.
I haven't played that either. That's another one I want to play.
So you can see all the Midnight Brew games are really good. So yeah, definitely worth picking them up. You can still order all of them, I think. Now there's not a dud among them. So even if you've got to buy them in a batch of 5, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, with Ooze, what I like with that is not just the playability, but it's the music's great on that as well.
It is, yeah.
You know, good animation.
Have I played Mystery? Yes, Mystery. I preferred to Mr. Do. That's to
yes.
Sol was talking about that, weren't he? Saying how
Mystery was brilliant.
And I'd agree actually, Mystery, because I've played it on the Electron and it does play better. He's right.
Yeah.
One for Martin. You can't get this one on a Commodore.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
You didn't show that one, did you, Tetlee?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, you did a video on that, Tetlee, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember watching.
I've got the recording sorted now because the guy that sold them, because I couldn't get it to load on my Plus 2A, and he sent me another tape, so I've re-recorded mine now, so it does work perfect. So
mine loads, but there's no animation.
Yeah. See, it will do on the new one that he sent me. It'll work. The animation and the music and everything all works together.
But look at that! Look at that!
It's just a crazy premise, isn't it? It really is.
There's some cracking games on there, though. The B-side games are
the other games, because that's a bit like just a novelty thing, isn't it? But the actual games, the hidden games on there are actually really good. That Donkey Kong or King Kong game was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of the games I've been playing Velation, which is Cytronic. That's on Spectrum. In fact, actually thinking about it, a good majority of
that one yet, Lee?
I've done a short.
Oh, right.
I did a short on it. Bloody Hard.
Oh, is it?
It's like a submarine game on the Spectrum.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. That's not what I expected.
Fucking OSG. Look what he's put. That's because Spectrum owners had to make love to cassettes. We C64 owners made love to real women.
I'm not sure about that. I think the C64 guys were the nerdy ones, weren't they?
Yeah. So I played Velation, which is like it's Cytronic, and it's like a submarine game on a Spectrum, which is bloody hard. But this is the funny thing, right? So that submarine game is all right, but I also had Sub Hunter for the C64. again, that's Cytronic. And yeah, the rate of fire is terrible in that game. But I can't figure out if it was because I was emulating it at the time.
Is this Sub Hunter or Velation you're talking about?
No, Sub Hunter I'm talking about.
Oh,
now.
right, yeah.
I'm not sure if it's because I was emulating it. So what I need to do is try it on the actual hardware and see if it does the same. But the rate of fire was terrible on it.
What is this Sub Hunter on? What computer?
That's on C64.
Because that was originally an Amstrad.
Yes,
there
is an Amstrad.
I had that years and years ago on the Amstrad, a homebrew game. That.
But the other funny
is that Relation? Is that kind of like a Cybernoid type game?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But yeah, Sub Hunter. The funny thing was when I was talking to Martin about it, because we know how Martin buys all the Cytronic games. I asked him if he had it. He said, "No, I haven't got that, but I have got this one called Sub Hunt, which was a Mastertronic game." And when he showed me it, the cover on that looked like the loading screen on Sub Hunter. So at first, we was thinking, oh, maybe it's the same game and they've just sort of like improved it, you know. But then we found out it's actually completely different. His one loads on from the left and it looks a bit like Stingray and not so much detail, whereas the one I've got looks like an actual submarine. There's more shading and it's from the right-hand side of the screen. So when I do eventually get around to doing a video of that, Martin said he's going to send me some footage of the Mastertronic one, and I'm going to kind of show you what that one looks like, what this one looks like, but the fact that they both have, one has the cover that's on the loading screen of the other. You see what I'm saying? It's all a bit, a bit confusing. But so there was M2. Like I say, I've got to test it on the hardware, see if it is a problem with the game. But what was the other ones I played? 8-Bit Wars.
Oh, I kept meaning to buy that. Is that on Specky?
Yeah, yeah, but you can only get it digital now. They don't sell it physical.
I was going to say, I missed out on that.
Yeah, you can only buy it digitally off of Chronosoft, but
they've released that on a ZX81 now, haven't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's only like $2.99 for a digital download. But I was playing it and I couldn't really figure out what you're supposed to be doing. I suppose that's the problem
like
with.
Collect 'em up?
Maybe.
I think so.
The problem with it is obviously if you had the physical version, I suppose it tells you what you got to do. When you get it digital, you don't know what you're doing. You're just sort of wandering around. So
I think if I remember rightly, you got to go and collect stuff and then like take it up to drop it off somewhere.
Yeah.
When I seen gameplay of it ages ago, but that's one I always meant to buy because that was one of what was his name that developed it? That was one of his last games, wasn't it?
Yes. I forget his name, but yeah, you're right. It was because they released it and then the money went to charity, didn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I know he's on the loading screen. They show a picture of him.
Yeah, Chris Remick, was it?
I don't know. It's a pity Si's not in the chat because he'd know.
Yeah, I think it's physical. Chris Remick. I'm sure it's that.
Hang on, let me check. But yeah, when I bought that, I also bought a few other digital downloads at the same time because I'll tell you why. Because hang on, I've just got the 8-Bit Wars coming up. I'm just trying to see if it says who it was. Andy Remick.
Andy Remick, that's it.
Yeah, Andy Remick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bought a couple of others, and I'll tell you why I did that is because I kept buying them on tape, and you get a digital download with it anyway. But so basically, in order for me to use the joystick, I end up plugging the Div MMC in. But of course, you can't do that if you're running from tape.
Oh, right.
So
yes.
I found that what I was doing was I was always using the digital copy on the Div MMC so I could use the joystick. So at that point, it's like, well, what's the point in buying the tape then? I'm paying £8 for the tape when I could be paying £2 for a digital download.
Sorry, I'll just cut you there a second there, Lee, if you don't mind. You're using the Div MMC Future, are you?
On the Spectrum, yeah.
Yeah. So you can't load tapes when you've got that plugged in?
No.
Oh,
well,
interesting.
You probably could load them, but it would cause problems the minute you plug it in. Because the minute you plug it in, it takes over.
Yeah. Because I had a bit of an issue like that with the Pro Enjoy. Most games would load fine, but sometimes it would stop me loading the cassettes. if I had that plugged in, because I was doing the same as you. I was using that as basically a Kempston interface at the same time. But yeah, sometimes that's how I knackered it that time when I unplugged it. I think I plugged it back in partway through because I wanted to use a Kempston joystick, and of course I fried it at that point.
Yeah.
So I didn't realise that was the same with the Div MMC Future. That's interesting.
Yeah. So so like I say, I didn't see the point in keep paying out all this extra money just to get the tape when I'm just going to play the digital, you know.
Yeah.
So I ended up, I got 8-Bit Wars, which was only digital at that point anyway. But I then ordered Egghead 5, and the other game was Space Disposal. Now,
I saw a video on that.
Egghead 5, I saw some gameplay of it, and I thought, oh, that looks quite good. But then I got it, and man, that game's hard. It's like Dizzy. It's really hard. Like, you know, you've got to spin across. You've got to spin across, and spikes come out. Oh, mate, I had it on for 5 minutes, and I already wanted to smash it. You know, like it's like this is
them anymore.
Yeah, I don't like Dizzy games anyway. So it's just that when I saw someone else play it, it looked quite good, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll give this a go. But no, it's just like Dizzy. I don't like it. So the best game out of the bunch, out of 8-Bit Wars, that and the other one I bought was Space Disposal, which I did a video on recently. That's not too bad. And like what you said, Scott, it kind of reminded you of the original Spectrum games, because it's
like a 48K game, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like a tribute to like the early games.
And again, very similar to that game you talked about earlier, Tetlee. You know, it's quite similar to I forget what game you said now. That was like Velation. It's same sort of thing. Cybernoid, yeah. Very similar, but you got to go along and just collect things. To get off each level. But I found I kept going back to it, and each time I went back to it, I got a little bit further. So that was the best one out of it. That one hooked me. That kept getting me back in. But the other one was a game I bought ages ago. Never got round to playing it because if you remember, I bought a big box version when my Spectrum wasn't working, the 2A. Then I got the grey one off of Scott, and then I got injured, so I then never got round to playing it. I finally got round to playing it, and that's Alien Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Great game.
I've been playing that quite a bit recently. Yeah, it is a good game. I think I might have briefly played it, but not properly. So, but yeah, you got the skirmish thing on the other side of it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't played
it. You, Scott, that's still got a non-working copy of that?
Oh, let's not go there.
Sure.
We won't get into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I bought the big box version, which is funny because I did the unboxing of it on the channel.
That's the fucker I've got, the big box version, and the fucking other side don't load.
At least it looks nice on your shelf.
Well, that's the thing. The tape's still sealed because I got a digital download and put it on the Div MMC. So I still haven't opened it. So I don't know. That tape might not work either. I don't know. If it don't, I'll take it to Martin, though. He's our resident bitmap soft repairer, isn't he? Oh, look, we've done with another stream and we managed to moan about bitmap software again.
On your next order for Cytronics games, is it Cytronics we're talking about just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to pick up Quadron next time.
Yes.
Oh, no, Chronosoft. That's
Chronosoft. That's it. Chronosoft. Yeah, Quadron you need to pick up. That's so good, that game.
This one here, pre-orders come out on February 14th for Amiga game. Oh, okay.
Have you played it yet, Scott?
I don't know if I have. I'm now checking.
Oh, it's bloody brilliant. That's like an ultimate game, that is.
What's this? What game?
Quadron.
Oh, yes, you was telling me about it. That's the robot one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have got it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, play it. Play it, Scott.
I think I might have played it when it first come out. I need to go back.
It's confusing, though. If you watch my video of it, it kind of explains it a bit better.
Oh,
yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I remember I'm sure somebody did a video on it, and I don't think they really knew what they were doing.
So when I saw that, the problem I had, I watched a lot of videos of it first, and most people didn't have a clue what was going on. But there's a lot to it. But it's a really good game. Plays
well,
really
when I watched your video, then it was like, okay, so this looks like quite a good game. So this is the problem, isn't it? If someone plays it and they don't know what they're doing,
yeah,
you're going to sit there and go, well, that looks crap.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, when I saw your video, I was like, oh, hang on, this actually looks quite good.
Yeah, that's really good. That one is probably it would definitely be in my top 10 of all of my homebrew games. It would possibly be edging into the top 5, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah, I love that one. Really, really good.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'll go and watch your video. I must have seen it. I'll go back and rewatch
it's really good.
But I mean, I've been playing quite a few Commodore 64 ones that I've had for a while. Like I put X-Force on the other day. I have been playing a lot of micro stuff just lately, actually. But I do really need to fire up the Switch because I've played quite a bit of micro. I've had the PS4 on. Early on, I was playing PS3. I was play testing a PS3. And what was it I was playing? Need for Speed Most Wanted. Do you know what? That game, right? That game, the graphics on that are fantastic. Like when you look at that, you look and it's almost PS4. There's hardly any difference.
Didn't it used to have a lot of dodgy frame or screen tearing or something on it, on that one?
Not that I noticed.
Or was that on a 360 maybe?
Maybe.
I loved that game. I completed it, Most Wanted, but I think if I remember rightly, it had a lot of screen tearing or something. I'm sure it had something with it.
I don't know, but I was racing around in a Corvette and basically I was ramming through roadblocks. It was well good. Yeah. I was sitting there like, this was probably about, I don't know, an hour before the stream maybe. I could have easily just carried on playing it. Like, you know,
it was addictive game up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been playing that. But yeah, I've got a few Switch games. I've had them for a while and I still haven't played them.
Like, I'm playing a Switch game at the moment, which has blown me away. It might go down as one of my favorite new games of all time.
Wow.
Go on. What is it?
Let me grab it.
It's got me intrigued now.
I know what this one is because you told me about it already a little while back.
Monster Boy.
Oh, yeah, you told me about this.
This game, I tell you, I've been playing it every night.
Wow. It's a spin-off of Wonder Boy, right?
It's absolutely fantastic. I don't think it got a physical release in the UK.
Oh, I was just about to ask you where you bought it from.
This came in the shop. Funnily enough, a guy brought a load of games in, and I know him quite well. And he went, Scott, take this game home, play it, you'll love it. And I thought, all right. But my God, he's damn right. This game is absolutely fantastic. It's taken up all my gaming time at the minute.
Speaking of things that come into the shop, did you end up taking that figure home with you in the end that you showed me earlier?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I got to be honest, I'm tempted.
That's very nice. And everyone was awing over it in the shop.
He knows, right? He knows when he sends me these pictures, he knows what he's doing, right? He knows I love Predator, right?
Oh, Predator,
he sent me this picture of it. Yeah, but this isn't just a normal figure. This is quite a rare one.
Oh.
And he knew when he sent it through, he knew that I'd see it and go, oh.
I've never been out of the box. That's not ever been opened. It's
really?
Still sealed in the box. Yeah.
It's the Concrete Jungle version, like from the game. It's a NECA figure.
Oh right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look this up.
They're fairly rare. Like, put it this way.
I think there's only 2 on the whole of eBay.
Yeah, there's not many. Yeah, and you're talking what, £100?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, because this is the thing with Scott, he's like my retro pusher now. Like, you know, he'll send me saying, "Go here, Lee. What you?" And I'm like, "Oh!" Like the other day, he did. This was cruel. What he did to me the other day, right? He sent me through a picture of these 2 graphic novels that come in, right? Batman. I love Batman, and it was the ones where he fights Dracula. And he went, "Oh, Lee, look what I've got." And I went, "Put them in my pile, mate." He went, "No, they're going home with me." I was like, "What?"
Is that it?
No, that's Stoneheart. That one, that's a different one. That's quite an expensive one now as well. That one.
I've got some more Batman graphic novels coming today, Lee.
Have you?
I forgot to send you a picture of them once.
I couldn't believe that when you showed me them Dracula ones. I was like, "Oh, I'll put them in my pile." He's like, "No, I'm taking them home." I was like, "What?" Like, you know?
That's just because they're Dracula and Batman. I'm just like, "Oh my God, I've got to have them."
Well, I wouldn't say they're impossible to find, but you have to get them sent over in most cases from the States.
What's nice about them ones is they're the original releases from back in the day that I remember.
Yeah, and
I don't like you know, for me, I don't really like the reissued stuff. I like to get the stuff I had back in the day.
If I remember right, it's Kelly Jones artwork as well, like the long ears.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. He's one of my favourite Batman artists. Yeah, because
I'll show them off on your next comic stream, Lee.
Well, that's the thing, right? I need to try and work out what I'm doing with that, because where Chef hasn't got internet at the moment, I haven't been able to do them. So that is something that I need to look at. So, but I've got some nice bits for that as well. So, but yeah, that's a different stream.
We'll chat after the stream, because I had a massive comic collection come in today.
Whoa.
Which you might be interested in some of them.
I've got, honestly, I'll show you in a minute. When we finish, I'll show you some of the bits I've just got, Scott, recently.
Yeah,
you'll like them.
Cool.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about micros. And
we are. Yeah, we are. We are. Well, I'm just looking. We're over the 2 hour mark. I don't know. What do you reckon? Leave it here?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah, I think we covered homebrew pretty well there. I mean, that's all I've been playing lately. So, right, okay. So I think we'll wrap it up here. I hope everyone's enjoyed the stream. I've just got to find the outro.
Well, I've got through a fair few beers, so it's been quite good.
I joined you on there, Scott.
I just got through a relentless because I've not been sleeping well.
Look at that, I've drunk 4 beers.
Really?
Bloody hell. That's normally me drinking all the beer during these things.
You know, I've not drunk. I haven't had any alcohol for a few weeks now.
No.
Yeah.
What did you do? Dry January, Lee?
Well, not. I didn't plan to. Basically, what I decided to do was I've like kind of cut down my calories a bit, because I'm obviously, you know, I'm getting back into my training, but I'm not doing as much of it. So the last thing I want to do is, like, because it's the thing, isn't it? All this time I've not been training. If I'm eating too much and not training, it's just I'm going to get fat, and I don't want that. So I've been trying to control my calories a bit.
That is where you're wrong, Mr. Bond.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Anyway,
Mr. Bond, I want you to die.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. That was our Moby song. Do you remember?
No.
I
weren't really into that. I was more into
Moby redid the theme for Tomorrow Never Dies, I think it was, and it's got excerpts. Right, okay. It's no, Bond, I expect you to die.
This is like OnlyFans, but you don't have to pay.
Yeah. Right, okay. I think we're done here. Right.
Yeah.
Catch you later, guys. Thanks for watching.
See you later.